what the heck is going on with Wendy Williams? What is going on with this woman? Is she being held hostage? Because that's what it looks like.
What's the new situation? Is there anything
There's
new
an update.
coming about?
There's an update that she pushed a note out the window
She
of her
aced
psychiatric ward. Yeah. And then the police came and got her, and then she took a psych test and passed it.
Oh, she looks well, look how pale she is.
Yeah.
And that's not from the Beyonce stuff. Like this she's actually ill. Oh my goodness.
What so she had to leave her show. Was it like a year or two ago?
Yeah.
Because they were like, she has
dementia,
a very aggressive form of Alzheimer's, right? She's going to rapidly decline. And then, and you would see her like very rarely, and she'd be in a wheelchair. And it did seem like there was a rapid health decline.
Yeah.
And at one point, her son became her, what's the term?
Caretaker or like
caretaker.
Power of attorney or whatever.
He had guardianship over her estate.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was like making financial decisions or whatever. And then she recently, like within the past month or two, got out of that. Like,
the conservatorship?
The conservatorship ended.
It's like what they did to Britney.
She regained control of it. And she had said, like, basically, I'm being trapped or whatever else.
Wow.
So it's unclear to me. Like, it makes me wonder if she was misdiagnosed. Like, they thought it was Alzheimer's, but it's something else. And therefore, like, I mean, the nefarious version is like people around her want her to be in a conservatorship and so they can have access to her money and stuff, but she's actually fine.
What I can't help but wonder is it's just like, yes, there were a lot of celebrities who were not happy with her because she would spill the tea on them. Yeah. She had a lot of tea and she was spilling that tea and it was just like no holds barred. Didn't matter who it was. If she had some tea on somebody, she was sharing it. And these were some pretty big people. And so, I mean, one thing
Diddy included.
Yeah, one thing I can't help but wonder is it's like, oh, was this a method to shut her up? Did they MK Ultra her? Did they poison her? What happened? But I think she knew too much. She knew a lot that was going on within the celebrity space. And and she shared it. And so I can't help but wonder did they try to shut her up? And then now this is all happening.
And it's kind of interesting because with like Bruce Willis, he had aphasia.
Really
he had some kind of he got really sick, and he kind of like left public. You know, there was like a time where people were like, okay, the family's making an announcement, and then he was sort of quietly escorted off stage, which I thought, seems like a proper way to handle it. And so it almost seemed like it was like a spin on that, rather than being like, oh, she's crazy, we've got to lock her up or whatever. It's like, oh, she's actually just getting really sick. But if she's not really sick,
well, they did that documentary on her, right, where she's like clearly an alcoholic, like like had uncontrolled alcoholism, and basically they were saying like that can cause dementia or it can make
damage the brain. Yeah.
In a world where this is like a real diagnosis, when you have like early onset dementia, you might have a lot. First of all, even when you have full on dementia, you can still have moments of clarity. I remember that with my grandma. Like sometimes she'd know who I was, sometimes she didn't. And, based on when you take that cognitive test, maybe she was having a moment, she was having a good day. When it starts out, you don't completely lose your mind. You have like senior moments for a while. You leave your keys in the freezer. You do this, you do that. Then, a little more weird stuff happens. And then people start noticing. You forget names. This process usually takes years. So for somebody to have dementia and still have the wherewithal to be doing like TV interviews and know who she's talking about and saying that they're keeping her against her will. Look, when my grandma had really bad dementia, me and my dad would go over there. It was almost time for her she was already staying in like an assisted living home, but it was almost time to go. It was time for her to now go to, I don't know what you would call it, like a real home, like a full on, like a home
so
for people
more
with
assistance
dementia.
than just like a retirement community.
Yeah. And we went there one time and she called the police on us and said we were robbing her. And it's not like what Wendy Williams is doing, saying I'm being held against my will, is not something that is not something totally out of the ballpark for somebody with dementia to do.
Right.
Which is hard.
But she's calling like Harvey from TMZ and she knows who he is. And she's like, look, this is what's happening. all this stuff's going on. What the hell? They're holding me against my will. Now, the same stuff happened to Britney Spears, but I actually think she needed the conservatorship.
I know, that's the
I
thing.
think she actually has mental problems.
I think so, because with Britney, it was just like free Britney, and I was all about free her, and then they freed her, and then it was like, oh, wait a minute.
She is crazy. Yeah.
The Britney thing is hard because I think in some ways her conservatorship was exploitative.
Right.
Like she was still making a lot of money for these people while living under all these crazy rules. Like, but also she is sick. So it's like she needed new conservators or she needed new protections.
Right.
Yeah.
Free was maybe too far, but on the other hand, like her situation wasn't good. Whereas Wendy Williams, like, it seems like if it's real that she is passing the cognitive test, which it seems like you could have any court-appointed third-party doctor come in whose expertise is this area and be like, no, she doesn't have whatever form of Alzheimer's.
You could bring in 100 of them and have 50 say she passed and 50 say she didn't pass.
Right.
You know?
I mean, but like, I don't even think, like, I think it would probably be pretty clear. She used to be in a wheelchair. Why is she walking around in this video? Like,
well, she was in a wheelchair and like you couldn't even talk. You couldn't understand her when she talked.
Which again, to me, that feels like, and this is, I have no information, but like, that's like if someone was poisoning you and then you stop being poisoned.
I mean, I can't help but wonder if that was happening. I mean, you can see physically she definitely is ill. She's like white as a
getting
ghost.
Around okay. I mean, she's how old is she? She's gotta be in her 60s.
Something like that.
And she like hops up and this guy's helping her walk, but she's pretty much walking.
She seems to be walking well.
She's 60. But she was just like, I want to say 2 months ago at an award show being pushed by her son in a wheelchair.
Yeah, here she hops up into the ambulance by herself. I mean, a little bit of help, but no more help than I would think a normal 60-year-old might need to make that big step.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think
it's hard to say.
Yeah, I think that like
on, for sure.
This says, I'm a retired California lawyer. I spent by the way, these people almost never are. You're a retired lawyer and you're commenting on anyway. As a pro bono task monitoring the conduct of guardians like Britney Spears' father and then his allegedly independent court-appointed successor, and guardians like Sabrina Morrissey as a guardian for Wendy Williams. First, I want to know how much money on a monthly and annual basis the guardian is making in guardian fees. I also examine the service contracts the guardian would sign to look for a sweetheart deal and kickbacks to the guardian or their affiliate, like a law partner or an accountant. It's incredibly rare to see a mentally ill person who is broke financially have a guardian appointed over them. That fact tells you that a whole lot of what you would want to know about this guardian over the rich malarkey. What they're essentially saying is like, poor people don't get guardianships.
Right.
Why? Because there's money in it. There's
and because she knows stuff. I think she knows stuff, and they want to keep her silent.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with
that.
that.
I know tons of people who's like, if you have a kid who's, special needs or whatever, when they turn 18, like they have some sort of guardianship role because they're not able to care for themselves or take on the adult responsibilities.
Yeah, but I mean, that's different. That's different than a full-grown adult getting a guardianship who is not below 60 IQ. You know what I mean? Like, Britney Spears is not mentally retarded.
Yeah.
She has some sort of mental issue. That's clear.
Right. Yeah.
But
I sent you a link of Wendy Williams in her wheelchair in December of 2024.
So this is 3 months ago.
3 months ago.
And look at her eyes. This tells you everything. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Look at how spaced out she is, right? Yeah. She's like literally looking off into space. And then look at her here. Like when she's walking out, she looks totally with it.
Yeah, she's way more aware. She's
if you look at here where they're filming her. Now maybe she needed to be on medicine and now she's on the medicine. Right. Or maybe she was on the wrong medicine before. Like, but if you see her here, she 110% looks with it.
Right.
And does not have that like kind of, what is that, like deer in headlight or the 1,000-yard stare thing?
Yeah.
She doesn't have it here. And like, if here, this article that Hannah Claire sent, where is that? Didn't I just have it open? Oh, here. Look at her look. Wow. Like she's like totally out of her gourd.
Wendy Williams wore a sparkly dress.
And like, Well, maybe it was just a bad picture of her. Here she seems kind of with it. I don't know. I think
just
there's something
I don't know
going
that many
on.
people who like need a wheelchair because their body is starting to fail, who then like get that kind
Walk
of
fine
better.
a month later.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it's just like an accommodation she had for that day. But like, it seems odd.
Yeah, it is odd.
I would buy that somebody was drugging her. You know, I also believe that, like, Kanye was drugged.
Oh yeah.
You know, I believe that his personal. I have no evidence for this, so don't sue me, you fucking psycho. But like, it is my belief that Dr. Pasternak or whatever, he was overlooking Kanye when he lost his mind, and guess who else he was overlooking? Elliot Page, who then transitioned and looks so happy now. Wow. I don't know who this Dr. Pasternak is, but in my opinion, he's a demon. Like he has something. His name
keeps coming up in bad situations.
Yes, his name keeps coming up around people who go crazy. I wonder if he had anything to do with Matthew Perry. You know, like Matthew Perry's dentist was prescribing him 20 doses of ketamine a day or something like that. Like, was his dentist drugging him to extort him? I believe yes. I believe he had a ketamine addiction, but then I believe the guy that was giving him that ketamine was overdosing him and robbing him. That's what I believe. Right. And you know, I think there's a lot of people like this. I don't know, because we could very much have a Britney Spears scenario where we all fight for her to be released.
Yeah.
And 20 minutes later, she releases an Instagram live video wielding a knife and like looking like in her underwear.
Making us all look bad.
Yeah. Britney Spears definitely. Like, I was never a big. I think I did one video on it where I'm like, this whole thing is whack. But like, the second she got freed, I was like, oops. Yeah. Like, she actually has mental issues, and like, she's getting kicked out of hotels and for being, you know, banned from hotels for bizarre behavior. So I don't know, but I would suspect that Hollywood doctors are not exactly the most ethical. I mean, look at they give Ozempic to Ariana Grande.
Right.
You can't tell me that woman's not on Ozempic. Like, or
that she needs it. That's the other part. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's like that's suspicious.
Yeah, because like, you know, I've been researching it, obviously, because I'm running out of time to get in shape. Well, no, I've been researching Ozempic. And like, it seems like the people who end up like Ariana Grande are the people who take high doses of it and never needed it in the first place. Like, the idea of like Ozempic face comes from these celebrities who didn't ever need it, but they take it anyway, and they take high doses.
And you're eating just junk food, and that's it, and your body's not getting nutrients. I think that some people might get a favorable result if they're still eating nutrient-dense food and just have less of an appetite. It's possible. But yeah, those are like, oh, I'm losing weight eating cookie dough. It's like, well, you're gonna have an unfavorable result.
Yeah, I mean, you might lose weight, but your arteries are getting clogged, or you might,
and your skin's gonna look bad. You're not gonna get the collagen that you need in your skin.
Yeah,
all of that.
I watched a guy who was like a kind of a fitness guy who took it just to see what it did to his body, and basically he said it just like he didn't have an appetite anymore.
Right,
but he didn't like just lose weight. He lost weight because he was working out and you know, eating healthy. It just like helped him. But the problem is that a lot of these Hollywood people are getting it to go down from 110 pounds to 90 pounds.
Right.
To get like heroin chic. And that's where their faces look weird, because it kills all the subcutaneous fat in your skin. Yeah. So that's why they get that sunken face thing, and they get you know, all that, you know, they go too far. Plus, by the way, once you get on it, you really can't get off it.
That's what I've always heard, that you kind of have to stay on it, which seems that always freaks me out.
Yeah, that's what was a big thing. Like, I was talking to my doctor about like a new nutritional plan and stuff, and he's like, dude, if you want it, I can give it to you. Like, you know, he's like, I got 50 patients on it. It's working good for them. Right. I'm not I've always been inherently against it, but now I'm going on 42, and I'm like, well, if it helps me lose weight faster, I don't really care.
I think if you can do it healthy, you know, I'm not completely against it in every case, you know. So I'm against it if I'm, you know, 10 pounds overweight. But like, basically the way he worded it to me is like, let me put it to you this way. You're 150 pounds overweight and you're 42 years old.
What do you think is worse?
Right. I mean, that's fair.
Not wrong.
And I don't think that all medicines
go ahead.
have to be bad, you know, like, yes,
Yeah.
like not everyone, like, I'm not going to say Melonie should go on Ozempic, but like, if you struggle with your weight and there is a reason to prioritize losing weight to overall like better your health, then there are reasons that we have these things to help you.